Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Eric. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how I was adopted into a white family. So that's me. That's my mom. My dad I had a great dad. He was also white, obviously. Will show you. There he is. And that's me with my long hair. Anyways, just a little proof showing that I was brown, Hispanic, in a white family. And in this video, I want to talk about what goes along with that, what I experienced as an adoptee. For anyone that doesn't fully understand, for parents looking for information about interracial adopting, being bullied, from being adopted, hearing things from certain family members that are just completely misunderstood from a white family, growing up brown, Hispanic in a white family. Racism. So long story short, well, this is going to be a long story, but long story short, I grew up in California, moved to Georgia, and that's when I first started experiencing racism. I grew up a very, 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 very happy kid. I love my parents. I love everything about them. I lived a great life. I was confident. I was extroverted, loud, had tons of friends, popular. Until I moved to Georgia, then the racism started. All the names, go back to your country, go back to where you came from. People called me Afghanistan, Nigerian, I don't know, Asian, like just crazy shit that I didn't understand as a kid. And I would go back to my mom and my dad and I'd be like, what am I? Why am I being called this? And they'd say, I'm American. You know, from their perspective, they loved me. They were great parents, but from their perspective, they were just like, oh, we don't see color. We don't judge people by color, which is great and all, but that's not what I was experiencing. So there was a disconnect there, and it was very hurtful and isolating for me, because I'm like, okay, well, I am being called these things. I am being treated very, very differently from you guys. You guys aren't going through this. So what am I? Like, am I white? Am I brown? Am I gray? I thought I was gray when I was little. I told my sister I was gray. So just very, very, very confused. And I just started getting more isolated and more isolated and more isolated until I started getting suicidal from all the racism, my family not understanding, directly from being adopted and into a white family that didn't know how to deal with racism, didn't know how to talk to a Hispanic kid about it. What I needed to hear was that there is racist people, and racism is a real thing, and people do judge from skin color, and that, hey, we're going to teach you how to deal with these things. We're going to solve this for you. We're going to work on this together. My parents just were like, you know, we love you and we don't see color. And that was pretty much it. I was kind of left to the wolves, and I just stopped talking to them about it. And I just kept getting bullied and bullied and bullied until I wanted to blow my fucking brains out. And everybody in my family was like, why? You grew up in such a great family. How could you be so ungrateful? And you had it so easy. You were taken out of the ghetto, and you didn't grow up with your, poor Hispanic family, and all these misconceptions. They didn't know what I went through. They didn't know all the racism. They didn't know all the bullying. And this is just something to think about. This is my experience, and it's very hurtful. It's very hard for me to talk about still, because it's very painful to relive these memories. And I think it's important to talk about. I don't hear about it a lot. My family still does not get it. I still am not close with my dad. I'm still not, well, my mom that raised me died in 2010, which was very hard. But I have a new stepmom that my dad married, and she's great. And she and I actually talk a lot about my adoption and racism, and she gets it, I'd say like 20-30%, but she's still kind of, it's hard to talk. It's hard to talk about being a different race and racism, and she's white, so there's a disconnect there, but she gets it more than anybody I've talked to so far. So Dealing with racism, it's gonna happen. To the extent I lived in Georgia, so there was a bunch of rednecks there, white people. I was the only brown kid, maybe one of two or one in my whole neighborhood of like hundreds and hundreds of people. So yeah, I felt pretty isolated, pretty alone. I used to get picked on from my next door neighbor. He's this older white kid that we grew up walking home from the bus every day, and he'd push me around. He'd call me racist names, and he'd overpower me. I was very small, and that created a lot of self-esteem issues. And my parents, this channel is about being bullied and what to do with it. So, I want to cover that. Like, because I was brown, I didn't have parents that knew how to teach me about racism or bullying. It created huge problems for me, and that's why I was suicidal for so long. I felt so alone and so defenseless that I was almost blamed for my problems. If I had issues being brought up, not necessarily to my parents, but to other family members, aunts and uncles, they'd say I'm being a butthead, I'm being an asshole, I don't realize how lucky I am. So basically, I just stopped talking about it. I just suffered silently. Nobody understood. I got picked on every day, pushed around, bullied physically, verbally, mentally, emotionally. I remember him throwing a rock at my face and it coming like this close to my head. He used to, beat me up after school pretty much just because of the color of my skin. And I didn't have any solutions to that. My parents helped zero. And that is nothing against them. They were great parents. I'm just saying that if I could give advice to parents that are going to adopt an interracial kid, whether it's black, Asian, white, I would do your research first. Look up other videos like this, look up on Reddit from other adoptees, and try to talk to other Asians or race or Mexican or Hispanics, whatever race that you're going to adopt. Talk to them and try to find a therapist that is that race. Because honestly, different races can only understand each other so much. If you're a different race than somebody, it is just, you don't experience the racism that they go through. And white people, they just don't go through racism, so they just don't understand it. They don't get that I was being treated so differently. They're like, oh, shut up, you ungrateful asshole. You have it so easy. You have it so good. All this external shit that I did have good. I grew up spoiled. I grew up, if I needed something, my parents would buy it for me. And, that was all great and good. But it's almost like, hey, you won the lottery. You have all this money, but you're lonely, you're bullied, you're verbally abused, you're suicidal, and everybody on the outside in is looking at you like, dude, you won the lottery, you have all this money, you should be happy, you ungrateful piece of shit. Everybody wants to be in your position. You should fucking go kill yourself, or I just don't understand. How could you be unhappy? You have millions of dollars, and it's like, that's why people kill themselves. It's like, it almost makes it worse. It makes you look at your problems more. People don't understand you even more. So that was my experience growing up, all the way till I was like, I'm 37 now. I started getting bullied when I was 7. I've dealt with racism pretty much. I lived in Georgia till I was like 21. Then I moved to then I moved to California because I couldn't stand the racism anymore. I just did not fit in, and it was just horrible. So I was a lot happier in California. I met my wife. Now I'm 37. I dealt with bullying because I was so suicidal and had no self-esteem. I was defenseless. I never learned how to deal with it all the way up into my 30s. Yeah, and the problem doesn't go away if you don't solve it. So if I can help anybody else from these videos understand how serious of an issue it is, and give any sort of solutions and practical advice you can start using, please ask questions on this channel and I will try to answer them if you have any questions. One more thing that I wanted to talk about in this video about my adoption, what my parents did not understand. There's a guy named Ed Milet. He's like a motivational speaker. He has his own podcast, but he works with orphans, kids without any parents, and he says he figured these boys needed 4 things. These boys needed love, someone to love them. I had that. These boys needed someone to take care of them. I had that. And these boys need someone to show them how to live a better life, show them how to solve their own problems, and someone to believe in them. I completely did not have those 2. My parents did not believe in me. I started having a horrible alcohol problem because that was the only thing that made me feel better from all the isolation and people not understanding me, because I was just so fucked up as a kid because I was getting bullied. No solutions, constantly bullied. The only thing that made me feel better was alcohol. And then they picked on me for, not picked on me, but they tell you stop drinking, drinking's the problem, stop drinking. And I'm like, drinking's not the fucking problem. That's my solution. That's why I'm staying alive. That's why I'm not killing myself. It's a medicine. Once I started working on my confidence and learning how to fight, it took away the fear of being bullied, and it took away the need to drink pretty much, because I was a binge drinker for 25 years. But yeah, having those 4 things as an orphan or an adoptee, I think in an understanding, I think my parents just kind of gave up trying to talk to me, because I would talk to them, and it would just go right over their fucking head. And I'm like, I feel like I'm living in hell right now. And they'd be like, how dare you say that? You know how great you have it? They didn't ask why. Just ask why. What's going on? Ask, hey, how can I help? What are you really feeling? What are you experiencing? It's not all about the external. You could be brought up in a rich family with all the money, all the opportunities. I was growing up middle class. I had all the opportunities to go to college, to go to a good school. I mean, I went to a shitty public school and I got picked on there, but you could be in a better or worse situation. I mean, usually if you're adopted, you're in somewhat of a better situation unless you're like raped or something. I was never raped, but my parents loved me. They cared about me. My mom was an insanely good mom. She loved me more than anything. She just loved me a little too much. I think she wanted to protect me. And I think there's a way to protect your kids so much that they don't grow. And that's kind of what happened to me growing up. My mom loved me so much that she didn't want me to do anything for myself, because she was scared that I was going to get I didn't know what I was doing pretty much. I was so scared as a kid. I was so shy from all the bullying that I was just completely just wouldn't talk. I was socially scared of everything. I wanted to kill myself. I didn't want to go anywhere. So she was like, holy shit, my older sisters needed to do everything for me. And then I grew up not knowing how to do anything. So it was it just kept getting worse and worse. But yeah, if you can just show, from my point, this is what I did need. I need someone to believe in me. I feel like all adoptees need someone to believe in them, whether it's a parent, a brother, friends, whatever. And to show your kid or an adoptee how to solve their own problems, because their own problems are going to be their own problems. They're not going to be your problems. If you don't deal with racism, you're not going to know how to solve that. So, I mean, if you learn how to solve your kids' problems, if they're dealing with racism, whether that's going to a therapist that is the same race or understands racism, understands bullying, put your kid in martial arts. That usually is a huge boost in confidence, a huge self-mastery, and just self-defense. Knowing that you can defend yourself and not get bullied that would have changed my entire life. That would have solved 20 years of probably drinking and wanting to kill myself. And I'm just now learning it over the past few years, and it's changing my life, my confidence, and my mental attitude. And people just don't fuck with you as much, I guess. So to have those things, I think, are crucially important. That if you don't understand as a parent, I think that is just so important that, I mean, I'll probably make another video on this and talk about it in depth, because I'm kind of rambling, but just believing in them, showing them how to solve their problems, showing them how to live a better life, not doing everything for them, not thinking that kids are gonna break because they're like, oh, you're so soft, you don't know how to do anything for yourself. No, they're gonna have to do things for themselves no matter what. So you might as well not fuck them over by doing everything for them and letting them fall, letting them make mistakes, no matter how hard it is. Because as a parent now, I know that protection instinct. You don't want them to get hurt. You don't want them to go through anything bad. You want to protect them from anything bad. And it's hard. It's a balance that I don't really understand. I'm just getting to know it. But yeah, don't do everything for them. Show them how to live a better life. Take care of them. Obviously, I was taken care of. My family was pretty good, well off financially. There's also a way of taking too good of care of somebody, like doing everything for them, or getting them whenever they need, and then they're spoiled and then they don't understand the concept of hard work. And that's also a possibility. There's a balance. I feel like if I wasn't given everything that I had, I would have learned hard work better, because I was bullied at work because I didn't know how to fucking do anything. So bosses thought I was stupid. And that was extremely fucked up, because that also came out of being kind of everything spiraled. I was being bullied because I was brown. I was depressed because I was being bullied. I was being talked to like I didn't belong. So that made me feel like I was abandoned, and I had abandonment issues, and nowhere I went felt like I belonged. I was always bullied in school, work, everywhere. So I hope that I covered some sort of problems and solutions that help clear up some questions. If you have any specific questions, please put them down in the comment section below. I'm pretty scatterbrained right now. I don't really even know what I said, but I will try to make a more specific video on a specific problem if you have any questions. But being adopted as a brown guy, Hispanic, at birth into a white family, it was, looking back, it was great, but also very, 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 I almost killed myself because of being bullied and being having to deal with racism, and my parents being white and not knowing how to give me advice on racism. It made me feel like already I was adopted and I felt abandoned by my mother. Why didn't she want me? Why didn't she want me? I used to cry about that. Now it's like, oh, my parents I do have, you have no idea how to deal with this. You're saying you don't see color. That makes me feel like you don't see me, because I'm not the same color as you. I'm a different color. I'm brown. You're white. So if you don't see color, then you don't see me. You don't see anything I'm going through. So don't say that. That's really stupid. It comes from a loving place, but to hear that as an adoptee that's not your same color, it's like saying you don't fucking see your own kid. It's not the way they experience the world. They're going to experience the world differently than you, and you just have to try to understand that, and it's not easy. But yeah, it was very, 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 very difficult. Although I lived a great life. I lived a spoiled life. I had the opportunities to do whatever I wanted, to go to college, take time off, do whatever, have friends, and I just have always wanted to kill myself for as long as I can remember, because I was so depressed. I would get bullied at work, school, so I never wanted to do anything, and that's just my experience. I don't know what other people are going to go through. But growing up, I did have family dinners. I did have good times with my family. They were caring, loving people. I do get along with my sisters, but yeah, looking back, it was just I don't know how I did not kill myself, because I came close like 4 or 5 times. Specifically like 1 or 2 are really bad, but I'm really grateful that I didn't. I have a great family life now. I have a beautiful wife and a kid. But yeah, if I grew up with more understanding, more knowledge of, we understand you're brown, here's how you deal with racism, here's the problems you're going to go through, here's some of the things you're going to hear, here's what to do about them. Oh, you're being bullied, here's what we're going to do about it. if I heard those type of things, like, hey, what's going on? Why are you so angry? Why are you so depressed? Why are you so drinking so much? Like, why are you so isolated? Like, what do you need? What kind of help do you need? Like, really listening and sitting down. If I was listened to, I think I would have been a lot better off. But it's been 20 minutes. I hope that you guys have followed along. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys take care of yourself. Stay strong. Do not be nice. Be a good, respectful person. Do not be nice. And I'll be making a lot more videos on this subject, being bullied and everything about that. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves.